Welcome back to Hidden Oaks Homestead. Today I am going to share a bunch of book recommendations for your homestead library if you're looking to build one. If you followed us for a little bit, you know that we do everything from gardening to butchering to foraging and preserving food and everything in between. And some of that comes from knowledge that was handed down throughout the generations. Some of it comes from YouTube University. Some of the knowledge that we've gained is coming from books, and some of the knowledge comes from hands-on experience and doing workshops to learn more about a specific skill. Now, I get requests about sharing book recommendations all the time, and while I share in emails or messages, or if somebody reaches out, I'm happy to share, I've never put out a video about it. Now, this week, or maybe it was last week, Jess from Roots and Refuge has put out a video talking about AI-generated books and AI-generated articles and how it can be frustrating because you don't know what's generated by a human, what's generated by AI, whether it's a reliable recipe, whether it's reliable and tested information. And she put out a challenge to content creators who have a little bit of a platform to share what they use and share their recommendations of books that they have been using and that they recommend to the general public to refer to when it comes to building knowledge, building a library, and having something at hand to refer back to when it's needed. So in this video, we're going to talk about books. I have always been a huge reader of everything. I grew up in the 80s. There wasn't a whole lot of, there was no internet. There was no online education or anything like that around. So everything that we learned and all of the entertainment was in books, especially because I grew up very rurally in a little tiny village in Germany. So books were my escape away from home, from my siblings, from the day-to-day. And I loved to just sit out in the woods, read a book, sit on a hunting stand, and just enjoy fresh air and being away from the house, from all the noise. So books have always been a huge part of what I do. Reading has always been a huge part of what I do. And even though I don't read as much as I would like to now, I've been working hard since we've got back to the US in 2020 to build up a reference library for when internet sources are not available. And I really paid attention to what would help us in our specific journey. So some of the books that I'll be going through are all-encompassing on the homesteading journey. Some of them are very specific. And then specifically for me, because I'm big into foraging and wildcrafting and medicinals and herbs, a lot of my books are about identifying plants correctly, where they grow, what they look like, etc., so that I always have something to go back to when I'm in doubt. When we first started our homesteading journey, some of the books that we got were very much all-encompassing on your homesteading journey. So the Encyclopedia of Country Living is an amazing book that covers pretty much anything you can think about when it comes to homesteading. Highly recommended, and the edition that I got is the 50th anniversary edition. So this is something that tells you right there that this information has been around for a while and it's been refined and redefined over the years in new editions. So it's a great source for anybody. Another great book that has been helpful for us has been the Butchering book by Mr. Danforth. So I will link all of this below in the description as well. For us, it really helped us get over the fear of butchering in general. However, we can use it as a guide to fall back to. I gotta say, butchering is better learned in person by hand through a workshop. So this book is a great source. However, for me as a learner, it's been better to do a workshop. These are amazing guides for wild foods, for foraging, for herbal remedies. Nicole, or Dr. Nicole, has put a lot of research into her books, and she speaks from personal experience. Now, reading these books and going through it, I really use them as an encyclopedia to fall back on when I'm in doubt with any plants or when I'm looking for something that can interact together. These are amazing guides to help you work through your herbal and your wild food journey. This one right here was a gift, and it's a really old book. It's all black and white. There are some pictures in there, but it's black and white, so it's not great when it comes to helping you guide for your herbs and your foraging, but it's an amazing summary of knowledge. Now, as you can see, a lot of my books are about the Southeast. That's where I'm located at. So when it comes to especially herbs, medicinals, and wild foraging, wild crafting, I want to know what grows in my region. Not to say that these plants don't grow elsewhere and in other places. However, they may look different. They may be found in different places elsewhere. And I wanted specific guidance to where we're located now. In general, the books that I fall back to have some history to them. They're published by well-known figures. I have researched the people who have written these books to make sure that the information is legit. Now, do I only use books? Absolutely not. When I am out in the forest, I do not necessarily carry a book with me. I carry my phone with me. I do use some apps to identify plants or at least have an idea of what this might be if I'm questioning something. My rule of thumb when I go out into the forest and I forage is if I am not 100% sure this is the plant, I'm not picking it up because I'm not willing to take the risk of dying or having to go to the hospital. So that's my rule of thumb when it comes to foraging. However, I do have these books at home because I like to be able to double check on what I've researched online, what my plant app is showing me, because these apps are fairly unreliable. If you are using an app like that or something like Google Lens, for example, it gives you an overall idea of the plant family, but it's not going to help you identify a plant or a mushroom 100%. So you're going to have to fall back on books and knowledge. Do you have to buy all these books? Absolutely not. The majority of these books you'll be able to find in a good stocked library. Here, we are in Northwest Florida. We're in the Florida Panhandle, and our local libraries do have access to books like this. All you got to do is ask or go look for them in the library there, and you're able to copy down. You're able to make copies in the library, so you don't have to go out and buy all of these books. You do have access to these in the library for free. There's a few reasons on why you should work on building up a library, either in the form of books or putting down notes or having something in writing is an amazing fallback when either the internet doesn't cooperate or you need to be able to find a recipe that is just inaccessible right now. Knowledge is power. We all know that, and books are at the forefront of that. Now, of course, now AI has come a long way, and there's a lot of information out there that everybody can find at any time without having to go and look through 50, 60 books and do the research themselves. Everything is at the fingertips. However, not everything is reliable information. And that's where very well-researched books can be very helpful. I also really enjoy books by people who I actually know
and have grown friendships with, they know what they're talking about. David the Good is one of them. He has done lots of research and he shares it in his books and his videos on his webpage, and he is hilarious. So his books are great. This one is an amazing guide for mushrooms and very down to earth, not a whole lot of technical language in there, which is great for beginners, and a great easy handbook to take along into the woods with you. Jenn is a good friend of mine. This is not necessarily a guide, but there's tons of really great recipes in here from her homestead and some homesteading friends. So again, I like to rely on my friends and their tried and tested recipes. And if you haven't met or listened to Shawn and Beth, they are absolutely amazing. They have so much amazing information about how to raise your livestock and run a farm with basically no outside input whatsoever. And they have a lot of amazing information in here. They have a couple of additional books and booklets online that you can buy, and if you are able to, I highly recommend you check out one of their workshops. They are amazing.
There's a lot of reasons on why you should have books on hand and why building up a library of knowledge is important for us as homesteaders, especially if you're trying to build your life up to be as self-sustaining as possible. A library is a great way to fall back on age-old wisdom, especially books that have been around for 50, 100 plus years, with new editions coming out and being re-edited for new age readers have an amazing amount of information available, and you are able to really look back at what the generations before us did and learn from that age-old wisdom that's in those books and contained in hopefully your library as well.